Guys, this is Mark. In this video, I will talk about the Upsert API. It is a special API that gives you an ability to both create new objects in the database and update existing objects in the database. So whenever you need to create one or update existing one, it is going to be exactly the same method call with the logic inside of the API to determine if this is a new object and needs to be created or an existing object that needs to be updated. The convenience of it is huge, and there are a number of practical applications where you would need to use this API. So consider the following scenario. Say that your system running in Backendless imports data from somewhere else. So periodically you go out to some external system and you grab some data. For example, it could be some other product management system where you have listing of products. And as you bring data from an external system and you save it in Backendless, over period of time, you may be getting some updates for the products that you are saving, and you may be getting some new products. So creating the logic to determine if you have a product in Backendless that you need to update, or if this is going to be a new product, it becomes a tedious process and requires you to write extra logic. But with the Upsert, you don't need to worry about it at all, because Upsert will determine for you whether it is an object that needs to be created if it doesn't exist in the database, or update it if it already exists in the database. So the convenience is huge. How does Upsert know whether it is a new object or an existing object? It's very simple. It uses object ID. So object ID is a required property if you're doing update, and if it is a object ID that already exists in the database, then that object will be identified and updated. If you specify the object ID and that object doesn't exist in the database, a new one is going to be created. Now, what happens if you don't specify object ID? No problem. If you don't specify object ID in that API call for the object, then it will be treated as a brand new object and it will be created. So there are two possible outcomes: create or update, and then there could be some variations based on the value of object ID. If some of this or all of this sounds confusing, I hope I will clarify it with a demo that is coming. Upsert is a function that we don't have in REST console yet, so I cannot demonstrate it with REST console. However, it is supported in all of our SDKs as well as Codeless. And with Codeless, and specifically UI Builder, is what I will demonstrate how it works. For this, let's switch to the front-end section and create a new page. So move the mouse over this area and click New Page. You will need to choose Marketplace in the Create From dropdown, and you will need to locate this Object Upsert API lecture number 30, and let's give it a name, Upsert Page. Click Create. So now the page is created. The layout should be familiar to you. It is almost identical to one of the pages that we created earlier. Let's run this page and just see how it works, and then we will take a look at it from the implementation perspective, just so you can understand what kind of logic is there. Let's run this page. When it runs, it retrieves a list of products from the database. When you select a product right here, you can see that the properties of this object are populated in this form, and when the product is selected, this button says update. So whenever I select one and then make a modification to any of the properties, I click update, then that product is updated. However, if none are selected, the same button says create. In fact, the button is sensitive to the fact whether one is selected or not. So when I select one, it becomes update. If I reset the form, it becomes create, which means that we could use exactly the same form to update objects, as I just demonstrated, and to create new ones. So for instance, if I create a product and call it, let's say, demo product, and vendor will be Backendless, price, rating, and category entered, when I click create, this product was created and it was added to the listing right here. And now if I select that very product and modify, for instance, price, click update, then that product was updated in the database. So this is a very visual demonstration of doing create and update using exactly the same form that is aware of whether there is a selection, if there is no selection. So let's take a look at how it is implemented and what logic is on this page to implement that upsert operation. We go back to UI Builder, and all of the logic for sending a request to the server will be on the actual form. So if you select the form, the ID for that is upsert form. That's the box. And then navigate into the logic for that form. Then in the onSubmit event, which is right here, this is the event where the logic is to send an object to the server and then using the upsert operation. In fact, right here, this is the block that includes all of that functionality. As you can see, it accepts the table name, which is product, and an object that is sent to the server. So this object could be a brand new object that doesn't exist in the database, or an existing object that needs to be updated. And the beauty of this is that the logic here, we don't have actually any logic to determine if this is new or if this is an existing one. All of it is delegated to the database. This upsert form data, that really is the data model behind that form, that is our object that we want to either update or create. So when we started with a blank form, it is a brand new object that has all those properties. We send it to the server, it is saved. And then if we selected a product, then this data model will be the object that we are updating. And the structure for them is the same. It's the same properties, whether we're creating or updating. Now, if we select an existing object, a product, and then the form is populated, then the object ID is there. We do not visualize it because we don't have a field for that, but the object ID is there. And that's what triggers the actual update operation, because that object goes to the server. Server checks, okay, there is an object ID. Let me check if I have an object with that ID. And it finds one and performs the update. That's super simple once you kind of understand the semantics and differences between create and update. The rest of the logic here really works to insert. Let's say when we create a new one, we need to insert that row in the UI, and that's what this logic does. But I'm not focusing on that because this is a course dedicated to the database and not UI Builder. There is one for the UI Builder, and we will be building up that one or creating new ones as well. Anyway, this is all I have as far as upsert. Very cool and powerful functionality. There is also an operation called bulk upsert that we will be reviewing in a separate lecture. Thank you for watching this, and as always, happy coding.